You know what the solution is, mate?
What's that?
Internal combustion. It's the solution to everything. Speed and power.
My child's daycare had a death in the family. It's a small, family-owned place, so this affected all the employees. They sent out an email at like 3 a.m. I couldn't miss work, as I had a very important day, so I scrambled to find a sitter, just for that day. My stepbrother's girlfriend was basically the only person I know that doesn't work, so I called her. She says, sure, but I can only watch him for 6 hours, and I'll give you my family rate so it will only be $200. I asked if she was serious. She assured me she was, and that this was her livelihood and she takes it very seriously, that she was already offering me a family discount. Please note that it was not her livelihood. My stepbrother has a great job and has always paid for everything. He has tried to get her to do anything to earn money, but she refuses to work and believes he should support her fully, including daily Starbucks, hair, nails, designer stuff, etc. Please also note that I had done a lot for this girl, just to help her out. The list is long. I agreed, only because I would have lost my job had I not gone to work that day. I paid her $200, which she demanded up front, to get to work for a little over 4 hours after factoring commute. Fast forward a couple of years, they have separated, they have a kid and she is living for free in his dad's extra house, and driving my dad's extra car for free. The ex pays all the bills and necessities. She finally breaks down and gets a job because he stopped paying for her hair, nails, etc. She has a day when her child care falls through and sends out the same request I did. Can anyone watch my kid? I have to go to work or I'll get fired. I told her I could absolutely do it. Then charged her the same bogus price she charged me. I told her it was the family rate. She cussed me out. Edit, why would either of us get fired has been asked a ton. Here's why. I was scheduled to teach a seminar for about 400 people. This was extremely expensive to the company once you factor all the logistics of closing operations for a day and etc. If I would have last minute canceled, it would have cost them the same twice. Under normal circumstances, I can miss work for an emergency, but not during something like that. I'm a salary employee, so I usually work about 60 hours a week. Taking off after lunch or something isn't a big deal. It was just the magnitude of the event. She worked a job that anyone was qualified for and was on the chopping block for missing work all the time. Also, it was not her livelihood. At some point before she got with my stepbrother, she was babysitting for a family for a couple of weeks, but they fired her for being unreliable. She recognized the position I was in and threw out a number because she knew I had no choice but to pay it. Also note, she cussed me out when I tried to charge her the exact thing she charged me, so no. I wasn't just being cheap.
So, I, 24M, live in a megacity in India. I have noticed that through the past 7 years, the traffic situation in the city is worsening by the day, with new vehicles being added to the flow all the time, and migrants from different parts of the country moving into the city. Which is fine, of course. The only problem is people in my city do not understand the basic rules of headlights of their vehicles. Now, I am a night owl who is generally awake and outside till like 2 a.m. at least, every day. The problem here is, post 7 p.m. you can notice how at least 50% of fellow commuters have kept their headlights on high beam mode, commonly known as upper in my city. Now, this city has very narrow streets and in some parts there are no streetlights to steer clear on the road. When I'm driving on such narrow streets, and the vehicle crossing mine on the opposite direction, if they have their headlights on high beam, I cannot see the road clear and it is very easy to miss any potholes, speed breakers, stray animals, or even a passerby. It's a safety hazard and I am much more prone to accidents when this happens. I have tried to spread awareness about this through various networks, but it seems that ignorance and negligence gets the better of my city people. So I decided to treat it with tit-for-tat technique. I got my two-wheeler installed with highest allowed capacity headlamps, which has the capacity somewhat similar to newer LED headlight cars. Of course I usually drive with headlights on low beam mode, tested by his friends that it's not really blinding when on low beam mode, but whenever I see somebody in the opposite lane, driving with high beam, I put mine on high beam as well. It's really petty of me to think OKBITCH, both of us will suffer the same pain now, but I just can't help it. Notes. I would have loved getting yellow-tinted glasses which protect against such blinding lights during night, but I can't because I have power glasses already, without which I just can't drive at all. I would never shine high-beam lights when I can see that there are multiple vehicles across the street and at least one of them is driving with low beam. Why hurt somebody who's really done nothing? However, whenever in such a situation, I first flip the lights from low to high and then to low beam, a couple of times, to signal for them to lower theirs. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and when they don't, I make sure they will be safe, and then give them the taste of their own medicine. I am a big Costco fan. So much of the stuff in my house is from Costco that my family doesn't even bother asking. My membership is old enough to get its driver's license now. Being that I've been doing this for years, I have a couple tricks to get through faster. Such as not going when old people are usually there. And especially not when they are giving away free snacks and old people are there. Another trick is at the checkout, I have all the stuff in my cart with the barcodes easily scannable. If I don't have too much stuff, the employee doesn't even have to grab anything but their scan gun. Which is nice because Costco stuff is big and heavy. Well, one day I'm in line to check out and I can see the cashier is not having a good day. But whatever, I'm not a difficult customer to work with. Should be fine. As I get up, she suddenly tells me all my stuff needs to be out of my cart and on the belt. Conversation went fairly quick. All items on the belt, please. Hey, my stuff is ready to scan and I don't need it boxed up. I'm set to go. Sir. All stuff belongs on the belt. Thanks. Just scan it, please. Thanks. On the belt now, please. Thanks. At that point, even the guy helping her scan can see she's being rude and goes to step in. I ignore him and respond to her. Hey, I have a back injury from my time in the military. Please assist me in putting my items on the belt. She stares at me pissed for a second. Finally, she grabs her gun and starts scanning. I thought you said it had to go on the belt, ma'am. What's going on? She finished scanning the items and checked me out without another word. The guy helping apologized and offered to load my car. I thanked him for being polite and professional and left. This was years ago, and I've never been asked to do it again. Usually the employee thanks me for setting it up so they don't have to lift any Costco-sized packages. I used to live in an apartment complex where there were rows of 6, 2-story high townhouse APTs to each building that were facing each other. The driveway and parking area and spaces were in the middle of them, which created a sound-catching amphitheater valley which amplified all the parking lot sounds. Everyone's parking spaces were in front of their front doors. There were idiots galore who played their cars' music loud, or had social hour in front of their houses, and the kids all played there too. I didn't mind that too much except for when it was late at night when everyone was sleeping. Many bedroom windows faced the center of that amphitheater parking lot. Mine included. One night, across from me, but not directly across, some drunk couples were loud and sitting out there on their front porch. Someone had drove up and started arguing with the people who were sitting there, having social drunk time at 2 a.m., disturbing everyone. A fight almost broke out. The car that came in did not belong to anyone who lived there, and after the car zoomed off, the partiers were louder than ever, continuing their loud conversations. After about a half hour more of this offending ruckus, I quietly eased my window open, got my laser pointer and shone it onto one of the loud, rude neighbors. One of the other people noticed the light on him and told him. They freaked out and all started crouching, ducking and covering behind the cars, scrambling to avoid the red dot being put on them. Insert maniacal laugh here. They thought the people who they had just argued with had come back and had put them in the laser sight of a gun. They all ran into the apartment and off the front porch and shut their door, which had been open and playing music for only their pleasure. So rude they were. Soon after, some police cars showed up whom they must have called because they felt their lives were in danger by some unknown lurker with them in their gun laser's sight. I still laugh to this day when I think of them suddenly dropping and crouching and scrambling, running for cover and getting the hell in their apartment, where they should have been all along. Necessary background. I'm a 28F working as a semi-truck driver. I work for a contractor within a large mail carrier. As part of my job, I have my doubles endorsement, which means I often haul 2 short trailers rather than one long one. There's a piece of equipment that connects the rear trailer to the front trailer called a trailer dolly. It's essentially a trailer axle, for wheels, and weighs upwards of 2,000 pounds. You can push them by hand, but any kind of hill makes it really difficult without hooking up to equipment first. I had some scheduling conflicts with my last job due to child care issues and had worked out a resolution that included taking weekend shifts for the guys that wanted those weekend days off anyway. My boss fired me the night before my first shift off and waited until the end of the day to tell me that. He also insisted that I would need him for a reference for a future job if I wanted any chance at being rehired. However, I called some other contractors and was in a truck within 2 days. I happily waved at my old boss when I saw him. It was fantastic. My new job is great BTW. Here's where the petty revenge comes in. I'm still giggling about it. Something to note with my old company is that they are local city drivers. This means that they only ever haul 1 trailer at a time, so none of their drivers are required to have doubles endorsements, including the boss and his wife. They also are the only company that doesn't park their trucks in the bobtail lot, but actually parks back by where the empty trailers park. Our lot has been under construction lately, and because of that, people have been leaving equipment out everywhere. One day, I have to start my route with an empty trailer, and the only ones available happen to be parked back by where my old company parks, and I found the nicest one available. The problem was that someone left a dolly right in the way, so I couldn't swing hard enough to not sideswipe a trailer or hit the dolly. I did what I had to do, and pushed that dolly a bit uphill 20 feet back so I could just barely swing the corner. That just happened to be directly in front of my old boss's nice Cadillac he had parked for the day for work. He is not legally allowed to touch, lift, or otherwise move one since he doesn't have his endorsement or training. I smiled knowing he would have dropped his last trailer for the day, drove all the way to the back of the lot to park only to have to turn around and go track down the shop. The guys that only move trailers around the yard are also not allowed to move dollies for the same reason. Anyways, maybe I can't really get back at them, but hey! At least I can make the end of his day slightly more annoying.
Internal combustion. It's the solution to everything. Speed and power.